I caught my wife cheating, confronted her affair partner, and exposed the truth to his spouse. I'm at a total loss. I do not know what to do. There were signs, but I missed them. I was blinded by love and never believed this would happen to me. Not with her, my wife and best friend of nearly 2 decades. I work out of town and wasn't meant to return until tonight. We were scheduled to travel for a 2-day road trip tomorrow. Work was sluggish, so I came home yesterday afternoon. This trip was planned to offer us some alone time after spending so much time with family and friends this summer. When I arrived home, there was a truck in my driveway that I did not recognize. My neighbor recently inquired how I liked the new truck, but I assumed he was incorrect and didn't think much of it. As soon as I saw the truck, I had a bad feeling. I loved and trusted my wife wholeheartedly, but that feeling was there, and it was powerful. I sneaked around the side of the house and into our bedroom window. It was open, and I could hear them as I approached. When I peeked through the window, my worst fears were confirmed. They were absolutely naked on my bed. I walked away. I've been fighting the impulse to do something I know I'll regret. At this point, I'm not sure I care what happens to me. I spent the night at my family's cabin and drank everything. Today, on my way home, I considered confronting her but decided against it. I am not ready. Anger is all I feel. All I can think of is violence. I'm not in a good place right now. Not good enough to see her. I'm back in the cabin now. I have 60 ounces of rum and have been staring at it for an hour. I want to get drunk and forget about it, but I don't want to make stupid judgments. I understand that this is a key moment in my life and my actions in the coming days will shape the rest of my life. That is why I am here. I need help. I'm not ready to speak with family or friends, so I'm reaching out to strangers. The quantity of help and guidance I've received is incredible. I honestly got choked up thinking about how many kind people out there are eager to help a stranger. It gives me hope for the world just when I need it. The downside of all this help is that I'm having difficulty responding to everyone. I have around 600 private messages and a few hundred comments on Reddit. I would like to thank everyone individually, and I will make an attempt to do so, but it will take time. For now, I'd like to express my gratitude to everyone for their nice messages and useful suggestions. It means so much to me. I've seen a few comments and queries that keep coming up, so I wanted to provide some clarity and a tiny update. If you can't tell, I am feeling much better today. The discomfort has nearly entirely vanished. I still feel like I've been hit in the belly, but I've started thinking about the future. It's barely been 2 days, so this does not feel right to me. Is this the quiet before the storm, or am I incredibly resilient? When I referred to my wife as my best friend, I was referring to the 2 roles she filled in my life. The other guy wasn't my best buddy or anyone I know. I didn't get a good look at him, but based on what I saw in his vehicle, I don't think he's somebody I know. We don't have children, but we were planning to have them soon. We recently sold our home and were planning to relocate closer to my employment in September, when the new owners took possession. I intend to thank my neighbor for tipping me off, but discreetly, as he did for me. Many folks have asked me about the signals I mentioned. Here are a handful that come to mind right now. She was texting really late at night. She began going out for after-work drinks with her buddies on a regular basis. This was unlike her, but I was relieved she was being social. She stated she went to yoga once a week but didn't pay because a coworker, who was also the instructor, offered her a pass in exchange for assisting with setup and cleanup. It struck me as unusual that she appeared rigid for someone who claimed to practice yoga. Unknown caller hang-ups become common. We generally answer one another's phones when we're close, but I responded multiple times only to hear someone hang up. We receive a lot of spam calls, however they are mainly from telemarketers or debt collectors attempting to contact the previous owner of our number. This type of hang-up is uncommon. When my brother came, we had a long conversation. He has been my true best friend and I've understood how vital it is to remember that he will always be there for me, without judgment, just as I would be for him. Even though we disagree on occasion, he truly defines what a true friendship is. Because I was scheduled to be home last night, I opted to answer my wife's text. We are not permitted to use phones on site at work, so it was appropriate for me to declare I could only text her. She knows I can easily sneak in a few messages. I texted her that I needed to visit one of the company's remote locations and wouldn't be able to call until the end of the weekend. I also told her I'd cancel our bookings and reschedule them later. She replied that she could bring her best friend with her to the romantic bed and breakfast on the vineyard that I had reserved. I realized it wasn't the best friend she wanted me to believe she had. I informed her that I had already handed the reservation to my brother and his wife because it was non-refundable, and they would reimburse me in a month. I canceled all of my other reservations this morning except for the romantic one. My brother is accompanying me instead. Fortunately, the hotel allowed us to move from the honeymoon suite to a room with 2 beds. There's also a gorgeous lake nearby with boat rentals, so we've turned this into a much-needed fishing trip. This trip means I'm free for the weekend and won't have to contact her for a few days. That reduces tension and provides me more time to contemplate. Right now, I'm considering getting divorced. I honestly don't see any other way. My brother is supportive, but he has encouraged me to wait a few weeks and speak with someone first. His wife has a buddy who is a couples counselor and is available to chat with me on Monday. I don't think it will change my view, but it might help me sort through some of this mess. I've also started seeking assistance from others online and contacting lawyers. At the absolute least, I want to be prepared for what appears to be an unavoidable situation. I want to do it the proper way. I never imagined she would try to deceive me, but I also never expected her to cheat. I need to be ready for anything. Thank you again, everyone. I'm going to attempt to enjoy my weekend to the fullest. Update 2, busted my wife. Cheating, a lot has transpired in the last few days. I'll start with the less crucial topics. My brother, Matt, and I drove nearly 5 hours to the Vineyard Bed and Breakfast. I genuinely appreciate his being there for me through everything. The drive ended up being more of a venting session than anything else, but it did help me clear my mind. After chatting about my feelings for most of the trip, I just needed some alone time. While Matt went out to dinner, I remained in the room. He brought me some food, which I appreciated. The following day we hit the water. Matt was able to hire a boat, and the proprietor of the B&B, knowing about our fishing plans, generously packed a small cooler with food and drinks. It was their attempt to make the romance package more useful for two brothers on a fishing trip. It was a thoughtful gesture on their part to make the romance bundle more beneficial to two brothers. The fishing wasn't spectacular. We both got a couple of trout but had to release them because of their size. The B&B snacks worked great. We stopped fishing in the middle of the afternoon and went around to vineyards and fruit markets, where we bought food and cases of wine for Matt's wife Jennifer. That night, we treated ourselves to the largest tomahawk steak we could find. On Sunday, we returned to Matt's apartment. He lives in the town adjacent to me, about an hour away. When we arrived, Jen was waiting for us, and we opened a cold bottle of white wine from the cooler. That's when my weekend officially ended. Jen informed me that, while we were away, she chose to spy on my wife. She claims the guy came to my house on Friday night and stayed all night. On Saturday morning, Jen arrived just as he was leaving. She followed him home and discovered the flat where he lived. My wife stayed there on Saturday night, sending me texts expressing her love and missing me. Jen revealed that she divided her time between visiting family in my town and following my wife. She happened to catch my wife leaving his apartment on Sunday morning and snapped a couple photos of them hugging and kissing before she got in her car. I do not want to see the photographs. That very much closed the deal for me. I don't think I'll ever trust her again. If she can lie so simply and tell me she loves me while she's with someone else. Despite everything, I resolved not to make any rash judgments based on emotion. I need to be cool and composed. Jen informed me that Sharon, the counselor she had mentioned earlier, was coming over for supper. Sharon was the person Jen scheduled an appointment with for me. To clarify, Sharon had never met my wife, and this was my first time meeting her. Sharon was a very pleasant girl, and we hit it off instantly. After supper, we took the dogs for a walk through Matt's neighborhood to have a private talk. Sharon was a great listener, and I felt comfortable being open with her, which was quite beneficial. Even though I am close to my brother, talking with Sharon was different, and much needed. It's the same reason I enjoy blogging on Reddit. It allows me to vent and untangle the jumble in my thoughts. Our walk lasted about an hour, and Sharon's only meaningful suggestion was to avoid delaying the conversation with my wife. She advised me that the more I wait, the tougher it will be to approach her. Sharon stated that I need clarity more than anything right now, and my wife is the only one who can deliver it. Later that night, Matt and Jen offered to let me remain with them for as long as I needed. I know Matt and I have boundaries when it comes to living in close quarters, so I contacted my supervisor. He was able to place me in business housing, where I had been staying every 2 weeks. Normally, I leave on my days off, but my boss has arranged for me to work full-time for a few months if needed. I chose to reschedule a session with Sharon for later this week, assuming that our walk would suffice for the initial meeting. She agreed. Sunday night, I lay in bed, contemplating how to approach the subject with my wife. Even imagined scenarios made me angry or sad. I decided to wing it. I am typically good under pressure. Yesterday, I awoke, said farewell to Matt and Jen, and drove home. I worried what I would do if the guy was there when I arrived. I recognized that meeting him would definitely return me to the same angry state I had been in a few days before. To avoid this, I decided to perform a drive-by first. Neither his truck nor my wife's automobile were present. I walked inside and gathered a variety of necessities and items I didn't want to part with, primarily photos and old family treasures. I packed everything into my pickup and drove over to the guy's residence. Her car was not present either, but his truck was. I decided to text her to ask where she was. She stated she was going to grab groceries. I don't trust her right now, so I stopped by the grocery shop to make sure she was there. I feel so horrible confessing that I did that, but my trust has been damaged, and it is the only way I can be certain of anything. I contacted her again, asking her to come home because we needed to chat. She said, "What's wrong?" I just told her to be honest and shut off my phone. She arrived home 15 minutes later. When she walked in, she came up to hug and kiss me, as she always does. I turned away from her. She asked me again what was wrong, and I told her that she needed to be more honest with me. She pretended she didn't understand what I was saying. I responded, "Okay, if you can't be honest, then I'm leaving." She panicked and inquired, "Are you talking about yoga?" I assumed it was a start, so I asked her what she meant. She stated that she had not been going to yoga. The remainder of the conversation proceeded like this. I said, "If you weren't going to yoga, where were you going?" Her response, "I was taking walks to relax because I've been really stressed lately." Me, "Why were you so stressed? And why did you lie to me about what you were doing?" Her response, "Preparing for the move has been stressing me out, and I didn't know how to tell you." Me, "So you choose to lie? What was the big deal about informing me you were going for a stroll to relieve stress?" Her, "I did not intend to lie, I was merely scared that my stress might exacerbate yours." Me, "But I am not stressed. You don't seem to be telling me everything." Her response, "What do you mean?" Me, I believe you are lying about more than simply skipping yoga. I'm asking you again to be honest. You have already lied to me, so this cannot work if you continue to lie. Her, I'm not sure what more to say. Are you referring to last weekend, when I went out for drinks with several pals and arrived home late? I had no idea she had gone for a drink or stayed out late. I was at work, a few hours away. I asked, is that what you actually did that night, or was that a lie too? Her response, I went for drinks that night. She subsequently revealed that she hadn't seen her best friend, whom she claimed to have been with. My response, who did you see? She says, no one. I just drank alone. This is me, you drink alone now. She responded, yeah, maybe I have a problem. Me. Maybe. We'll discuss that later. This is your final chance to be honest, or I will leave. She responded, I don't know what else to say. Me. Okay. I am leaving. At that point I stood up and departed. When we dispute, I usually go for a drive to calm down, so she assumed I was doing the same. But then she noticed I had brought my clothing, toiletries, and Xbox with me. That's when she began blowing up my phone. I informed her that I had given her the opportunity to be honest, but she did not accept it, therefore there was nothing further to say. She begged and pleaded with me to come home and discuss it in person. She kept repeating she didn't know why I was unhappy or what I felt she had done. She continued saying she loved me and would never hurt me. Hearing her say that ripped a new hole in my chest. Those words had always been consoling, but suddenly they felt like a dull, jagged knife cutting into my heart in the most agonizing way. I couldn't take it, so I hung up. She called back around 40 times before I was prepared to respond again. This time, she inquired, did you talk to Karen? I asked, why? She said, come home. I do not want to say this over the phone. I agreed and drove around a little longer to lower my heart rate. Then I headed home. When I arrived, the conversation went like this. She responded, I assume you spoke to Karen? Me. No. Her. A few weeks ago, when you were at work, Karen and I went out for drinks. A couple of guys began buying us drinks and we simply played along. As we were leaving, one of the guys attempted to kiss me. I instantly pushed away and informed him that I was married. I felt terrible about it and wanted to tell you, but I panicked and chose to keep it from you. Karen hooked up with the other guy and gave his friend my phone information without asking me. He has texted me several times, but I have never responded. My response, can I see your phone? She says, yes. She handed me her phone, which was absolutely empty of text messages save for mine and her mother's. She never deletes her texts, so this was unexpected. I checked her photos and they were similarly empty. Then I searched through the deleted images and discovered one person I didn't recognize. My response, who is this? Her? That's the guy who tried to kiss me. I replied, why did you take a picture of him? Her response, I was just being stupid. Me, that isn't the cause. Why did you take a photo of him? Her response was, I don't know. I asked, is that everything you want to tell me, or is there more? Her response, that's all I can think of. I departed again. I did not want to be fed any more trickle truths. I got into my pickup and drove away. She bolted outside, attempting to stop me, but I was already out of reach. I went to a local park, sat on my tailgate, and ate my lunch while deciding what to do next. While sitting there, I began to recall other things I should have been aware of. For example, I worked a weekend shift and went to bed early. My wife went out to the club with some girlfriends. I awoke at 4 a.m., and she was still not home. I contacted her multiple times, but she did not respond. About 30 minutes later, she called again and asked if I could pick her up. When I arrived, she explained that they had tried unsuccessfully to hail a taxi. A couple of males her friend knew gave them a ride, but they insisted on stopping at their home first. When they arrived at the men's residence, her married buddy entered a room with one of the guys. My wife stated she spent some time hunting for her companion but eventually gave up and had a drink in the kitchen with her housemates while waiting. When I called, she said she didn't hear the phone. We argued about this episode, and she expressed displeasure with her friend's behavior, saying she had cut that buddy out of her life. I assumed the situation was behind us. Another time, she went to see a close friend in a distant city for a girls' night. 4 girls were apparently drinking and watching movies in their pajamas. Around 1 a.m., she called to say goodnight. We spoke for almost 20 minutes and she kept telling me they were having a nice girls' night. Then I heard a male voice in the background. I questioned who it was, and she initially denied hearing anything. But when it happened again, louder this time, she said, oh yeah, X brought a number of males with her. Everyone here is quite upset about it. She was inebriated and 3 hours away. I had no choice but to trust her again. We argued over why she hadn't told me there were men around, and she pledged never to put herself in such a scenario again. Clearly that pledge did not stay. After remembering all of these experiences and the conversations we had about them, I felt prepared to give it one more attempt. I turned my phone back on and it nearly instantly rang. I responded, and she screamed for me to come home. I drove back to the house. When I stepped in, I found her sitting on the couch, crying her eyes out and constantly sobbing, I'm so sorry. I'm very sorry. Sorry for what? I inquired. She began to sway back and forth, as if she were losing control. It took her almost 5 minutes to regain her breath and speak. Her response, I lied about the guy who tried to kiss me. Me? Okay, tell me what occurred. Her, the 4 of us actually returned to his apartment that night. We played around. Hearing her say it made me dizzy, as if the room was closing in and a million voices were screaming in my mind. I guess I was experiencing a panic attack. I went to the restroom, splashed cold water on my face and waited till I felt better. My response? What did you do? She asked. Do you really want me to tell you? Me? Yes. Her response? He fingered me, and I gave him a blowjob. My response? Was that it? She says, yes. I said, I'm not playing this game anymore. Either tell me everything now, or this will be our final conversation. She began crying again and needed a few minutes before she could speak. We got together again and had sex. I'm so sorry. I adore you and will do anything to make up for this. This is me. Just the one time. If I'm telling you the truth, please give me the opportunity to make amends. Please. My response. I'll think about it. There was an affair. We've been hooking up while you were away for work. It's been going on for about a month. He is married and they are about to divorce. My response. Does he know you're married? She says, yes. Me. If he's having an affair because his marriage is failing, does that imply you believe ours is failing? Was that what you told him? No, I do not believe ours is failing. I am so stupid. I despise myself. Please do not abandon me. I can fix it. Me, how? She answered, whatever you want. My answer was, if you were in my shoes, or even in his wife's shoes, what would fix this for you? I know the truth. Being able to trust that you mean what you say. You can trust me. I messed up and will not do this again. Me, if you were his wife, wouldn't you want to know the truth? She says, yes. I said, then fix this. She responded, you want me to call her? You replied, if you think that's what you would want. She attempted to phone his wife, but there was no answer. Several minutes later, her phone rang. It was labeled Karen work, but she appeared surprised, so I knew it wasn't Karen. My response. Is that him? She says, yes. I answered the telephone. The coward instantly exclaimed, oops, I must have the wrong number. Me, no, this is the husband of the woman you have been cheating on. I'll let you talk to her, she has something to say. I passed the phone to her. I told him everything. He knows the whole truth. We're finished. It was simply a fling and you should not approach me again. Before she hung up, I requested to see the phone. My response. What divorce lawyer are you using? His response. I'm not getting divorced. Me. Oh, but you didn't inform my wife you were. He says, no. Me? Okay then. Can I speak to your wife? I believe she has the same right to know about this as I do. He says, please man. I didn't realize she was married. Don't ruin my marriage because of a mistake. Me? You ruined mine because of a mistake. It is only right that I inform your wife. He says, please don't. She is at work right now. I'll tell her everything once she gets home. I swear, this is me. Okay, you do that. I hung up. Then I asked my wife if she knew where his wife worked and her name. She did. I told her to phone over and ask for his wife at her office. His wife answered and informed my wife that she was going to leave for the day but would call back from her car. A few minutes later, she did. His wife asked, what's going on? My wife said, I have something dreadful to tell you. I don't want to cause any accidents, therefore please do not drive. His wife said, oh my God. What happened to his name? My wife said, no. He's currently at your flat. I just wanted to let you know that we have been having an affair for a month. I am coming honestly to my husband, and I believed you deserve the same respect. His wife was silent for a moment before stating, if this is some sick joke, I will find out who you are. Then she hung up. Not even 10 minutes later, my wife received a text from Karen work that read, thanks. You just ruined my life. I seized the phone and said, you have just ruined 4 lives and 2 marriages. Don't forget, this was your fault. For the next hour, my wife pleaded with me to stay. She offered counseling, pledged never to leave my side, and even offered sexual favors, which was precisely what I expected based on the complaints I'd read online. Then she suggested we take a trip, stating, my treat. We need time away to reconnect. She stated we needed quality time together because my work schedule was keeping us apart. Again, she said precisely what I expected. What she didn't expect was when I informed her I'd already scheduled counseling, for myself. She also didn't anticipate me to reveal that I had discovered her in our bed with someone else. And she didn't expect me to reply. I already have a place to stay. When I told her everything, she slumped on the floor and sobbed. She kept insisting that she didn't deserve to live and begged me to kill her since she was too horrible to be with anyone. This continued for a time. I waited for 4 hours, listening to her make excuses and attempting to embrace, cuddle, or charm me into staying and resolving things. In the end, I called Karen and told her that her suicidal friend needed someone to look after her. Then I left. It's been almost a day since that happened, and I haven't spoken to her since. She has been phoning and messaging me all day. Her friends and family have also reached out, each with a unique excuse or cry for empathy. The one message that genuinely stuck out came from her father. He wrote, do what is best for you. I will always love you like a son, no matter what. Reading that was the first time I had a decent cry since it all began. Tomorrow, I'll visit with Sharon, my counselor, and on Thursday, I'll see a lawyer. I believe I know where this is going, but I'm not certain until it happens. I apologize for the lengthy story, but it helps to rant like this. Once again, I sincerely appreciate all of your comments and letters. People sharing their own tales have made me feel less shattered and provided much needed hope. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.